Well, welcome to the Scaling the Ocean podcast, where we're talking about all things U.S. market entry. I'm very excited today to bring to you our inaugural guest for this series, Caroline Collings-Wood. I could not think of a better guest. Caroline, a seasoned non-executive director, executive mentor, and scale-up leader with deep experience helping UK businesses navigate growth, complexity, and international expansion. Caroline has held senior finance director, managing director, and CEO roles, leading high-stakes transactions across multiple sectors. Most recently, she has served as a scale-up director and innovation growth specialist with Innovate UK Edge Southeast, working with companies to commercialize and expand internationally as part of the UK's business growth support network. She brings a rare UK-side boardroom perspective on what it really takes to enter and scale credibly in the US market. Caroline, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bernie. What a lovely interaction. I'll try and live up to it.
I tell you, I am only trying to honor your presence today. Well, but before we begin, a word from our sponsor, Think Partners Advisory. If you're considering entry or expansion in the U.S. market and finding your organization held back by uncertainty, complexity, or competing priorities, Think Partners Advisory can help. Their experienced market entry specialists work with leadership teams to bring clarity, direction, and practical strategy to help UK companies find momentum and avoid costly missteps. Now back to the program. Caroline, I am so excited about this episode. Finally able to launch this podcast series. Thank you for agreeing to come onto the program.
Thank you for asking me.
Before we get started, I have to ask you, what on earth inspired you to take this journey? U.S. market entry is not for the faint of heart. How on earth did this journey begin?
Well, it happened a good few years ago, actually, and we had a crazy idea of expanding some of my manufacturing businesses when I worked for a PLC into the US. So only by doing that, I met some amazing people that enabled me to identify what it would take, how much it would cost, and how best to go about it, and all the support network that you need there underneath. And it seemed so exciting that I decided that actually working with a team and a partnership within the US, that we could do more of this to help other people, because it is quite a challenge to try and do it on your own.
Yeah. Yes, it is. All right, we've got a lot of content to cover. We're going to dive right in because folks are looking for answers. Okay, from your experience, what typically inspires UK life science manufacturers to look seriously at the U.S. market, and what ultimately stops many from committing?
Okay, I mean, it's quite an easy one of what actually inspires them, is because it's that TAM, SAM, and SONS. Okay, what's on your doorstep versus that wonderful opportunity that's out there in the US, and there is, it's almost like the golden apple. So why wouldn't you want to have some of that? And I think that's the initial, because it is such a vast market, that's the initial draw for most UK manufacturers. There is obviously that challenge that then comes after of that commitment. So the intent is there, but not always the commitment to follow through. Some of that is because of the perceived cost. Some of that is because they don't know where to start.
Yeah. It is quite a daunting task. At the board level, what's the most dangerous misconception UK leaders hold about testing the US market?
Again, I think that is probably around the cost, because either they undervalue what it's going to cost to go out, which quite often is the case, or they perceive it to be so expensive that they can't even think about testing. So on the board level, what's the most dangerous misconception? I would say it is about the time, resource, and cost in the investment side of even just testing the market. I think they undervalue or how much it will take in time and resource, and they undervalue how much it will actually cost. They're not clear probably on their strategy. That's one of the biggest challenges, I think, there. And I think using the right advisor, because that's where they will spend more money if they don't get the right advisor in place before they try and test the market.
No, makes sense. Okay. When you're meeting with leadership teams early on, what tells you they have a serious U.S. strategy versus a hopeful sales experiment?
I think, yes, I try to water test their US strategy, asking them why now and where and who. Those are, great questions, and it's on the validity of, well, we've already got some customers out there. Great. Where are they? And where do you think that you're going to set up? Are you going to set up? What's your transition plan? And it's probably by water testing some of those just very quick questions that you actually see whether there is a strong strategy in place.
Yeah, very sensible. How do American lab customers evaluate credibility differently from UK or European buyers, especially early in a relationship?
Well, I think you've just said the right word there, relationship, because UK doesn't actually build relationships when we buy. Our labs have a limited relationship with the vendors, whereas in the US, it is all about relationships. It's all about building those relationships, those contacts, feeling like a trusted partner. And that's not something that I see in UK labs.
That's something that
customers are very different.
Yeah, that's an important point. Shifting gears, what do U.S. customers quietly expect to see in place before they're willing to commit, even if they don't explicitly ask for it?
Oh, it is definitely that relationship, partnership, development from the individual. They feel that they're being heard and supported and nurtured. Now, it won't stop them from going elsewhere, but for them to buy from you, it's critical.
I can see that. So where do UK companies most often misread U.S. buying behavior, particularly around service, responsiveness, or availability?
As much as I think we have brilliant quality in terms of our product, fantastic design in terms of our product, our responsiveness in terms of our service is much lower than a US demand. I think from my experience within the US, there is a requirement to turn around a email, communication, telephone call much more immediately than the UK often responds to.
Yeah, I sent you that email 11 seconds ago. How come you haven't replied?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, this is, and I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what to do about that. Okay.
But that's just that's a nuance, but it's quite a big nuance.
Yeah.
If you want a US customer to buy from you, it is that on the ball, respond, whereas a UK customer would expect a response, but not as instantaneously.
No, this is true. This is true. Okay. So why does, for many organizations, why does relying solely on a general distributor so often stall momentum in the U.S.? What does the customer experience look like when that happens?
Well, the customer experience is removed because it's a distributor. Mm-hmm. The relationship is built with a distributor. And depending on where you're pegged with that distributor, depends on how quickly your product will go to a customer in terms of sales. So, for example, they have 2 autoclave manufacturers, and one happens to give them a better discount and
Sure.
more incentive. The distributor's going to push that one over yours.
Of course.
And the end customer doesn't know what's going on with the distributor. It just knows that the distributor seems to prefer to this other
Right.
autoclave over your product.
Yeah.
The control of your product is really important.
Yeah.
And whilst distributors are necessary, and some of them are absolutely excellent, we've worked with many, there's also the other end of where they're not so good.
Well, I've seen that myself. And it's it can be a real challenge. Okay, what parts of the U.S. sales and support model are consistently under-resourced by UK groups, and what are the consequences when they are?
So the after-sales and the servicing, quite often, the UK manufacturers don't get that right. They're confident in their product, which they should be. They believe that their capabilities are strong within their product life, but they don't build a extensive service and support network in the US. And it is, unfortunately, boots on ground for the products that generally are in labs. And I think, again, utilising the right service support provider in the US and creating that network makes all the difference to whether someone buys your product again.
Yeah, no, I can see that. So at the same time, if a UK company is performing well at home, and this might be related, why does that success often fail to translate in the US market?
Because performing well on your own territory means that you have control over your product. Generally, you have control over your sales support and servicing, and the cost isn't you're not bearing that much of the cost because it's within your remit. It's within a smaller destinations. The US is huge. Every state is a country. So creating a support network, you really got to know your landscape. And again, utilising good advisors who already are well established in the market with that landscape of after service, continued sales and servicing support makes all the difference to a business. One of the biggest challenges, I think, is that continued contact as well. Whereas within the UK, we're quite happy that once we bought something, you leave us alone. I believe the UK in the US, lab service lab clients require a continued contact.
It is a fact of life here in the U.S. When you buy a T-shirt, you should expect to get 17 emails, and we don't like that. But it's just what it is. That's how we're conditioned, and so I think you're right. It does raise our expectations. Hey, I bought a $50,000 piece of equipment from you. I'd like to hear something.
Absolutely. And I think within the UK, very often our customers don't expect it, don't want it. And so it's just a whole different culture that we're dealing with.
Well, just because you don't want it doesn't mean we're not going to. Well, yeah, the U.S. does have a reputation. Okay, so moving on. What costs of U.S. expansion most often surprise UK leadership teams, not because they're hidden, but because they weren't addressed early enough?
So the marketing side of always surprises, I think, a leadership team. But what I always say with any marketing spend, the same with any sales spend, it's your ROI. And it's not your immediate ROI, it's your ROI over a period of time. So people generally look at the ticket of how much this is going to cost and almost fall off their chair. Well, actually, that's how much it's going to cost to get into the market. And once you're in the market, you're going to get so much more back. And that continued ROI on that spend is phenomenal.
I like the idea of RO immediate I. I think we're gonna coin that term, RO immediate I. Although you're right, it's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Well, that's what people are looking for, aren't they? They're looking for that immediate return on investment. They're looking for that immediate. Why haven't I sold 1 million? And actually, the investment is your long-term investment. So you're putting it up front, but it's your long-term investment. You have to continue, probably not at the same initial rate as you've had to invest to start with, but there is a continuation. Building a brand doesn't happen overnight.
Truer words were never said. Okay, so from what you've seen, why does this digs a little bit deeper? Why does underinvestment kill momentum faster in the U.S. than in other markets? Is this related?
I think it is. I think underinvestment in the brand. Why does it kill it so quickly? It's because there are thousands and thousands of brands in the US, and if you don't maintain a presence, then you'll just be washed up with yesterday's washing up. I don't know. Let me think of a better analogy, but you will.
No, I think that's it. I think you got it.
If you're not there on a continuous basis, your brand disappears.
No, Caroline, don't these people understand that my product is the best and it'll always be the best, and so therefore they should always buy from me? Don't they understand?
Well, I'm sure they do, but actually there's a 1,000 other people that are telling them exactly that as well. So we're kind of dealing with macroeconomics here, and it's on a completely different scale.
Yeah,
you've got huge amounts of manufacturers within the US, and I believe, and so why would they want to buy UK? Well, they want to buy UK because I still believe we have branded quality, we have design quality.
Facts.
And the US labs know that. We're established for many years throughout the world. The US labs have brought British products. So why wouldn't they want the latest innovation? Why wouldn't they want? But you still have to build your own brand whilst you're going out there, and to build it in a huge market versus the UK, which is quite a small market, really.
Hold on a second. I got to update your intro. Next time I'm going to add UK brand ambassador. Wow. I think I got to send a memo to the king. he's got to I don't know, can you be knighted? Is that a thing? I love how you position the UK's presence on the world stage. And by the way, I think you're right. And I think UK organizations can do more to make that known. Tremendous quality coming out of the UK that folks perhaps are not even aware of. So
Yeah. There's some amazing lab innovations that are coming through, and we know that they're probably the best place for them is to be in US labs, which are some of the most aesthetically and designed labs in the world, and are brilliant and are full of brilliant minds. So why not use the brilliance of their tools that are often from and created and innovated in the UK?
Yes, right. Well, we're going to dive deeper into this. Okay, so what makes a value proposition feel credible to U.S. laboratory buyers? What signals that a company is committed to the U.S. market, or isn't?
Again, I think there's supporting documentation that's always required. I think with products, I'm a big fan of white papers. So anything that's actually then had research on it within universities where we've proven and tested the quality of this product helps add value to anyone working in the lab, in the purchasing. US are price sensitive, but nowhere near as price sensitive as the UK. I think everyone likes the deal in the US. However, they will pay top dollar for top quality, but they also want top service with it.
Yeah, well, yes, and they can be very demanding. In so many ways, this is true. Okay. How important is early visibility, digital presence, local signals?
It's essential. It's essential. You need to be, again, as I said, it's building that brand. So you need to have all your senses covered. So it is in the socials. It is creating the visuals. It is creating a constant drip, as well as creating that credibility with case studies and white papers and door knocking and referrals. And referrals is one of the biggest sellers within, I say within the US, it's probably one of the biggest sellers throughout the world. Everyone loves a referral because everyone likes to trust someone who has had experience of something.
Yes.
So that's always going to be your best. Now, wouldn't it be great if your product could then go to a trusted advisor who can then talk to people and create those referrals for you?
Yes, right. Wouldn't that be something? Okay, we're going to shift gears here, talk a little bit about compliance. Where do regulatory and compliance readiness most often derail otherwise strong U.S. expansion plans?
I mean, I'm hoping really by the time they've done some due diligence and had a proper strategy and got their product ready. But I do see companies all the time who have a product, and I'll ask them, so are you UL compliant? And they're saying, what? And you think, well, how can you go out into the US? How can you possibly start talking about the US unless you have your compliance in order? Other products that need to be FDA registered as well. So compliance is incredibly important. And again, if you don't know where to start, that's why you have a trusted advisor that can help you through that whole process. Take the pain.
Right. Avoid costly missteps. Okay. Do UK companies tend to treat compliance as a checkbox? And if so, how does that perception affect trust with U.S. customers?
Anyone who just treats it as a tick box won't be selling for very long in the US. So regardless of how much marketing you do, if you're just trying to tick a box on compliance, you're having a very expensive, short-lived career in the US.
That's a strong statement. Do you have it? Are you allowed to name examples of where you've seen things go wrong in that area?
I know when things have gone wrong. I know a number of companies where things have gone wrong, but I won't say them.
Oh, I can appreciate that, right? Client confidentiality. But you've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, as we like to say here in the U.S. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I've watched a number of businesses make that mistake, even with the best advice.
Right. Such is the way of things. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about culture, right, as we work to wrap up. So what cultural shifts do UK leadership teams typically underestimate when operating in the US, both internally and with customers?
Okay, well, obviously, again, back to that service side of things, being responsive. Now, we know we have a time differential between our countries. As you would see, that it's becoming later here and than in the US at the moment. But it's that responsiveness, it's that support side of things where customer demands and you haven't got the resource to respond as quickly. Now, resource is one of the things that I think a lot of business underestimate. They just see it as another sales channel out to the US. It's not just another sales channel. It's actually a whole division. You're going to have to start ramping up the people that support the US.
As you're staffing US teams, does it also, because having a presence in the US forestalls issues with time zone differentials, but trying to staff a US team, I have to imagine there are inherent conflicts with a UK parent company and a local US team. Have you seen conflicts that arise there as well?
Yeah. So I've got a number of businesses that are currently looking to come out to the US and have created a link and have created partnerships and have employed people and are starting to come a little bit unstuck as to, or again, kind of the compliance, but more on the back office compliance, the taxation, the moving money from one country to another, the whole structure. Unfortunately, they called me in after they'd already started, so it's the unpicking that I'm working with some of them on at the moment.
Sure, which could be even more challenging, I'm sure.
But again, putting the right people in place.
Yes. So, okay, let's talk about sustainability. Sustainability matters to particularly laboratories everywhere. How should UK companies think about sustainability claims in the US without over or underplaying them?
Okay, so in the UK, sustainability still means a huge amount to us. We still turn up to summits. So we're very keen on sustainability, and I do believe US labs are really keen on sustainability. So I think there's a like-mindedness around good, green, sustainable products. It may in the boardrooms, I would say in the UK, there is a skepticism at the moment as to how important it is to the US, but the fact that it's still so important to us, that those out in the US that still feel sustainability is important will not be let down by our products.
are U.S. buyers still influenced by sustainability priorities?
Yeah. Yes, and maybe not as many that once were.
Okay, but it's still a thing. That's
But
great.
it's still a thing, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Finally, from a leadership perspective, what mindset shift is required to succeed in the U.S. market, even if the decision is ultimately not to proceed?
So I think it is about conviction. It's not just about having an idea or seeing the TAN and SAM and going, yeah, that looks great, we'll have some of that. It is about being strategic. It is about understanding who you're selling to in the US and where you're selling. The toe in the water, I always say, is use your advisors, build a network, and then build a business out there. Or let a business that we can introduce to you take the heavy lifting. So there's lots of roads to scaling throughout the US, which don't all have to cost huge amounts of money, using the right partnership.
No, it's well said. Conviction. You had me at conviction required to begin this journey. Oh, that's amazing. The before we wrap up, I don't know if you have thoughts or additional input you wanted to provide this audience as they're considering these big decisions.
Yeah, I think this side of the pond, we've seen a whole lot of crazy, shall we say, in terms of tariffs. And
I thought you were talking about our side of the pond. Are you talking about your side of the pond?
We've been watching a whole lot of crazy.
Yes. Tune in to our next episode 2, where we're going to talk about chaos and how chaos does not inspire trade. Yes, is that the commercial?
So even with a quite changing and challenging geopolitical world that we're currently in, I think the US still holds huge amounts of possibilities, and I think the US still holds great opportunities. More so because probably within that chaos, people are looking for some kind of straightforward security in quality. And knowing that you are consistent in your products and consistent in your delivery and consistent with everything that you do actually brings great comfort to chaos.
I could not have said that better myself. Wow. Caroline, I have to say, on behalf of the Scaling the Ocean podcast, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
On behalf of our sponsor, Think Partners Advisory, thank you. As I suggested, we'll include all of Caroline's links and information in the caption if you'd like to follow up directly with her. As I suggested, tune into our next episode where we're taking chaos head on, and the answer is it's not a good thing. but keep calm, carry on, as we like to say. Thank you, of course, for tuning in. And we'll look forward to the next episode.
Right.
Peace.